All right, welcome back, folks. We have to start with this Fox News alert because you have to see this video. Earlier today, our own Geraldo Rivera was caught in the middle of a firefight in Libya.
They're firing on us. I think we should stay alone. Get in the vehicle and go. Come on, guys, in the vehicle. Okay, they're firing at us. They're firing RPGs and mortars at us.
Geraldo, now safe and sound, joins us live from Benghazi, Libya. Geraldo, did you fear for your life for a moment?
Well, it was longer than a moment, Dave. It was, you know, the kind of situation where it evolved kind of slowly. It started with a single sniper shot. We took cover from that. And then it just kind of started to escalate. The irregular forces, the rebel forces behind us, opened up with their heavier weapons. Then the Gaddafi forces, who are holed up inside the University of Brega, a town about 135 miles from here, they started opening up with their RPGs, their rocket-propelled grenades, and their machine guns and their weapons. They targeted us, so there was a wild exchange. It was like a shootout between two unruly gangs, or at least one unruly gang. That was the side I was on, and some professional soldiers, the Gaddafi soldiers, who were dug in at the university in Brega. Every time they unleashed their salvos, the rebel irregulars would wildly retreat or fire their weapons, and then it seemed to me that the Gaddafi forces would get our coordinates where we were targeted, then let go with their RPGs, and there may have been mortars involved also. But it was a wild scene, and you know, I was as worried about getting shot in the back by the good guys as I was getting shot in the front by the Gaddafi forces, who really are holding that university now with the rebel forces semi-surrounding them. The regular rebel army has gone beyond Brega, so these Gaddafi forces are behind the rebel lines, but they've got a tough position, and given the absolute disorganization, bad training, and you know, absolute lack of chain of command, I doubt the rebel forces can dislodge those Gaddafi loyalists inside that university. And let me just add one thing quickly, if I may. There's a lot of talk now, a lot of pressure on various powers, NATO and including the United States and others, to arm the rebels. I swear to God, if you give these people weapons any more powerful than they have right now, they will be a grave danger to themselves and others. They don't know how to use these weapons. At the first sign of a threat, they let loose their salvos, and then when you really have incoming, when the enemy is fighting back, and it's the time when real soldiers use their training and their experience and the chain of command and the sergeants and the captains and the other superior officers give their tactical commands, that is non-existent in the rebel army. This is the they have the, I may have said this before, but they have the fire discipline of an LA street gang. It was really very worrisome, and you know, you know, seeing the video and hearing the shots kind of conjures up the bad memories, and this only happened really maybe 2-3 hours ago.
Yeah, and Geraldo, we're seeing some of the new video that you guys have just fed into us here on rebels just randomly firing into the air. And we talked to Chris Wallace right after your last report last hour, and one of the fears that Chris had mentioned, of course, within Washington, are we heading for a stalemate? I mean, you talk about this ragtag army, you talk about Gaddafi's forces, which aren't going anywhere. Is that the end game here, a stalemate?
Well, I'll take a stalemate, particularly if they would agree to a ceasefire. The problem now is there are still civilians in Brega. I was with a fellow who was weeping because he couldn't reach his wife. There are still, you know, women and children in the crossfire here. You know, it's a mess out there. It's a violent, treacherous, perilous, dangerous scene. And the way I see it right now, this is going to be a pendulum, a deadly pendulum that swings the rebels' way when Gaddafi's people, feel that they are threatened. It'll swing Gaddafi's way when these kids run scared when they are confronted by a stout, well-led resistance. I think stalemate is exactly what it is. There's no way the Gaddafi forces are going to cross that 135 miles of desert to get back to Benghazi. That's a killing ground. If the rebels don't succeed in doing it, then the Allied air power will.
Well, Geraldo, nothing illustrates better how perilous the situation is than the video that you have fed into us in the last hour. Be careful and keep us updated throughout the hour with what's happening there.